presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast, where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
Hello and welcome to the Strong Blue Line's Cop Talk. I'm Tim Rupp in the Rev.fm studio here in Idaho Falls. It's, Gary, here it is. It's almost summertime.
It sure is,
The
Tim.
last couple of days we've had beautiful, beautiful weather.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Good.
I'm pretty excited about summer.
Hey, you know, it's good to be back.
Yes, welcome back.
It's been a long time. It's been, 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
On the road. Now,
Wow.
Those out there listeners would never know because these shows are pre-recorded.
Right.
But that's just between you and me.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we had a great time, Gary. And you were
That's
gone,
fantastic.
too.
Yeah.
You and Carrie went to Nashville.
Yeah.
Music City, USA.
Yeah. It was a good time.
And,
good time.
The Grand Ole Opera. Did you get a chance to
Yes. Yep, we did.
go? Who'd you see?
Yeah, we saw Vince Gill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun. And Ellie Holcomb, who was a Christian artist, she was there as well, and a few
Christian
other people.
country artists, I assume.
Well,
maybe not?
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. Yeah. So yeah, it was a blessing, and like you said, you know, being with our spouses. So
yeah, you know, and this was the first trip, ministry trip that Sherry took with me. You know, we talked about her quitting her job, and she's involved in the ministry now, and it was really good. It was good for both of us, good for the ministry. She actually helped teach some of the chaplain seminars.
Wow!
So I had
that's
her in there
great.
Teaching some stuff. Yeah, she did a great job. So it was
very
really
cool.
encouraging.
Oh, I'm real happy for you.
Went to Arkansas, Louisiana, and Alabama, and I tell you what, the food in Louisiana was just. I've been there before. And had to, but we went back and man, you talk about some good food.
Cool.
We had some Philly gumbo and
I never had it.
Catfish.
Never had it.
We went to Catfish Charlie's in Monroe, Alabama, and it was just excellent food. Unbelievable.
Very cool.
Man,
I love it.
I put on
That's
some
great.
weight I got to get rid of. Anyways, we're back. You know, it was a great time.
Welcome back.
Of ministry and everything, and. Looking forward to get back, and we have some speaking. And one of the places we were in was Birmingham.
And
we got an article from Birmingham, Alabama, so we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But before we do, our Officer Now Memorial page. So we're going to talk about the officers who gave their lives in the line of duty this day in history, May 22nd. So I have here, Gary, Police Officer Joseph Clark, Baltimore City Police Department, Maryland. End of watch, May 22nd, 1871.
Ooh, wow.
Okay. Police Officer Joseph Clark was killed when he was shot while attempting to quell a disturbance in a house.
My goodness.
That's all we have. It says several men was charged with the murder. At least one of the subjects was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Officer Clark had served with the Baltimore City Police Department for 5 years. He was buried in New Cathedral Cemetery in Baltimore. Get this, 50 years old when he died. That means he became a policeman at age 45. And this was in 1871. And the average life expectancy back then was not what it is today.
That's true, yeah.
You know, this was like the end of, you know, and so 45 years old, joined the police department.
I'll be darned.
You know, served for 5 years, and he was shot and killed.
So, and again, not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot of information. Some of these older ones, we have very few. Some of them are pretty detailed. They're really interesting.
Right, yeah.
Just a little bit of information there. What do you have, Gary?
This is Deputy Sheriff Caleb Conley from Scott County Sheriff's Office out of Kentucky, end of watch, May 22nd of 2023. So the subject's vehicle alerted a license plate reader showing a wanted person. So I read that and I thought instantly, like, oh wow, that's
when they run a plate,
do have those.
With officers and they can run a plate in a car. Back when I first started in the police department, you had a license plate, you had to call it into dispatch.
Oh.
So you call in the license plate, the dispatcher would answer you, and sometimes it'd come back fairly quickly. Sometimes you'd run a plate, and you've already made the stop, and you're halfway through the stop when the license plates come back.
Oh.
Because it just takes time to get
wow.
back.
Yeah.
But now the officers have computers in the cars, and this began in the 80s, mid-80s. They started getting computers. So all the cars now have computers in them, and the officers can run the plates themselves. If they run a plate and somebody associated with that license plate has a warrant out for their arrest, it'll come back as a hit. That somebody driving that car, perhaps associated with that vehicle, has a warrant for his or her arrest.
Okay.
So that's what happened there.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So the deputy stopped the car, and as he approached the vehicle, he was shot. And then he was transported to a hospital where he later passed away. The subject fled the scene but was arrested a short time later. He had been charged with the murder of the police officer, possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, so obviously a former felon or a felon, burglary, theft of an automobile, wanton endangerment? Wanton
endangerment. Like
wanton endangerment.
If he's driving a vehicle, he tries to run somebody over.
Oh,
so
okay.
he tried to hurt somebody, or he shot at somebody but missed them.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Who wants? I'm not sure what happened in there, but you want to endanger life or something. It's intentional.
Oh, okay.
But that's what that means. Yeah.
And then fleeing, evading police. So, 35, 4 years tour. So he was a little older.
A little bit older. He's 31 when he joined the police department. Military veteran. A lot of military veterans are a little bit older because some of them
that's
not
true.
only serve for 4 years like I did. I served 4 years, but some of them do an 8 year or even 10 years, and then they go into law enforcement. So they're a little bit older. But I met a guy when I think it was in Alabama, an officer, and he was about 45 years old or so, and I shook his hand and talked to him, and I asked him, I said, so how long have you been in the police department? He said, about 10 years. I said, he said, yeah, I joined later in life. He said, I was about 35 when I joined the police department. I said, what'd you do before? He said, he was in sales or something. So it was completely, complete change of career for him.
Oh, be darned.
And that's kind of unusual, for somebody to come just out of sales, as completely civilian job to becoming a police officer. Yeah. But he said, I've always wanted to be a police officer. And you find people like that they always want to do that, and then finally they just do it. Anyways, so there's some things. And hey, before I go on, don't forget you can catch archive shows of Cop Talk on Amazon, Google, Apple, and Spotify podcast platforms because Gary ensures that they get on there. And yeah, it's good to be back, Gary. You notice when I got back, there was no water. I noticed, I had to go down and, one thing we talked about maybe getting a video cam for the show.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't have one today. You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because I'm drinking out of a Star Wars mug.
Oh.
And I would not want to be caught on video drinking out of a Star Wars mug.
That is a pastor's live mug.
That sounds like something Pastor Shane would come up with.
Pastor Shane. Yep, yes, sure is.
Pastor Shane and the Star Wars guy. Wow.
I know. Well, and you leave, and I had one job, and you come back. And
come back. No water. No water in the building.
Let you down. Let you down, Tim Rupp.
That's okay, Gary. So let's talk about this. So this caught my eye. This is from May 15th, so just last week, just 1 week ago, fairly. And the title of it is Anti-Christian Group Demands Birmingham, Alabama Police Stop Praying Before Their Shifts. So apparently these officers are praying before their shifts, Gary, and an anti-Christian group demands they don't. And this comes from Law Enforcement Day, and it is an opinion piece.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to get Pat Droney's opinion. So just keep that in mind, all you people out there in Radio Land. Birmingham, Alabama, police officers, he writes here, police officers often tend to be pretty religious. The reasons for that vary, but much of it has to be attributed to the fact that police realize that when they go out on patrol, it could very well be the last time they do so. The fact that they seek God's protection while acknowledging that the decision is in God's hand shouldn't matter to anyone except the officer. Unfortunately, that isn't the case for busybodies such as Freedom from Religion Foundation. So this Freedom of Religion Foundation, it's an anti-Christian organization. It's based out of Madison, Wisconsin. And remember, this is in Birmingham, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Alabama. And you talk about the Bible Belt. It was funny, Gary. You go through a town, you just see churches everywhere. It's unbelievable. There are so many churches. We saw this one sign. It had a sign. It was down one country road, just about a half mile long, and there were 3 signs for 3 different Baptist churches.
Oh, wow.
And I looked down the road, and there were 3 churches you can see right next to each other.
Wow.
And then we were in Louisiana. And I saw this church, and it just said Grace BC for Grace Baptist Church. It didn't even spell out Baptist Church. And then the next church said Community AG for Assemblies of God.
Oh, that's funny. You know, it was funny when we were in Nashville, we took a city tour on a double-decker bus.
Oh, yeah.
And interesting that Nashville has 255 churches just within Nashville, and there's the outskirts, the city limits, and but it's kind of that same thing as we drove around. Like there's another church, and there were several churches.
You throw a rock in any direction, you're going to hit a church.
Yeah, and the churches are like in places you wouldn't think there would be necessarily a church. There's a church down on Bar Row that all of these bars, and there's a church, but Cowboys and whoever else goes there, but yeah, it was interesting.
It's funny that the Bible Belt is different. So this Freedom from Religion Foundation is based out of Madison, Wisconsin, and they released a statement last week alleging that multiple concern the Birmingham residents, including a department employee, informed the anti-Christian busybody organization that a pastor is regularly invited to the department to proselytize, read Bible passages, and lead devotionals and prayer meetings and prayers during mandatory staff roll calls. The group further complains that when the Baptist pastor isn't there, a police officer leads a prayer for all employees in attendance. So I found this when I read this, Gary, I was kind of surprised that Birmingham PD would allow this to happen. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm against officers praying.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff. I was a little bit surprised. I wasn't surprised it's in the Bible Belt. I was surprised it was in that large of a city in the Bible Belt, Birmingham, because I went to a lot of agencies, small agencies down there. And the chief of police is the deacon of the local First Baptist Church, and you just that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And everybody goes to church. And so this wouldn't be surprising. But in Birmingham, a larger city, I was kind of surprised to find this. And what this group was complaining about was they complained that the city of Birmingham is violating the First Amendment by doing this.
Correct. And yeah, that's.
And what they said, the department on April 17th, so this was last month, on April 17th, the Birmingham Police Department posted this on X or on Twitter. Quote, "We're starting Wednesday roll call at West Precinct. Let me try that again. We're starting Wednesday with roll call at West Precinct. Each day, our officers come together to receive their assignments for duty and pray for a safe shift before they go out and serve Birmingham. Our officers enjoy this time with one another," end of quote. So what they're talking about is a roll call. And I think most people realize that at the beginning of each shift, they have a roll call. Mm-hmm. So you go in there, you report for roll call, the sergeant or lieutenant goes up there and he has roll call. He actually calls roll, just like you do in school. Mm-hmm. Everybody's there,
Right.
Austin, here, sir. Rupp, here, sir. They call roll, give out the assignments, pass on any pertinent information, bolos, or anything else that's pertinent. But then they will have an officer pray. Now, And during this time also, I guess they had a pastor come up, share something from the Bible or something. This would not have been a long sermon or anything.
Right,
this would have been something very short. Maybe he gives a word of encouragement and it says something from the Bible, quotes the Bible, reads a verse or something like that. Prays for the officers, and they go out on their duty.
Right. Now,
kind of surprised because of that, because if you allow that, then you're going to have to allow anybody. If this, according to the article here, it's a Baptist pastor. So, okay, if you allow Baptists, you're going to have to allow Assemblies of God. Have to allow a Catholic priest. You're going to have to allow a Wiccan from the Satanic Church.
Yeah.
If they came up there, because you cannot discriminate against that. So they would have to allow that if that was the circumstances. And so I'm kind of surprised that the chief let this go on.
I am too.
Not that I'm against prayer. Now,
no.
One thing is, it says in here that the officers themselves were able to pray. Now that I completely and absolutely support. And I think what I would do, Gary, if I was in this situation, if I was a sergeant, when I was a sergeant, I handled roll call. That's what we did. That's one of our jobs. We had a roll call. I think if I were going to do that, I would have roll call, and I would say, okay, guys, roll call is over with. Be safe out there. If anybody would like to hang on for about 30 seconds, we're going to have a prayer if somebody would like to pray. And then those officers that want to stay, they can get in the cars and go to work. The guys stick around for 30 seconds or so, have a prayer, and then go to work.
Right.
So that way, officers, if they want to stop and pray, they can. If they don't, and looking back on my days, if I had done that, I think that probably 98% of the officers would stay. Even the non-Christian ones or the ones that are whatever, they not going to hurt them. To stay. And even those that are atheists that I know of as well, if there is a God, wouldn't hurt.
You're right. Yeah.
So the officers would stay. But what they were quoting from this, Gary, is the First Amendment. And the First Amendment says this, and it's quoted in here. It's the first part of the First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting establishment of religion or prohibiting its free exercise. And this clause in the First Amendment is called the Establishment Clause. And this forbids the government from establishing a religion. And so what this means, Gary, is the government can't come in and say that the Calvary Chapel churches are going to be the state church, or the Baptist church is going to be the state church, or the Catholic church, or whatever church it is. They cannot establish a state church. It forbids them, because remember, we came from England, and England was like, it's the Anglican Church, and well, now it's Bloody Mary, and it's the Catholic Church, and now it's back to the Protestant Church, and they can't do that. But the second part of that clause says this: are prohibiting its free exercise. In other words, government cannot make a law prohibiting the free exercise of religion. So if the officer says, I want to pray before roll call, and you do not allow him to do that, is that prohibiting the free exercise? Now, we could take that to the extreme. Well, now I want to have my pastor come in and preach a sermon so I can exercise my religion. See, and then you can start going down that road. So it's kind of a touchy subject. We are a Christian nation. Well, let me back that up. We were established as a Christian nation, and there's always going to be, I guarantee you, I was a police officer for many years, policemen pray.
Yeah.
Even those that claim to be atheists and stuff, when they go to call and they see one of their officers, shot and clinging to life.
Right.
Prayers are going up.
Yeah.
And they're not ashamed, and they're praying. And so a touchy situation, I guess, if you will. It's an opinion piece, like I said, and so this guy's opinion from the law enforcement today, which I enjoy reading Law Enforcement Today.
Yeah,
it's written from a
good.
Christian
good
perspective, and but I don't agree with everything they do. I mean, do I agree that I want policemen to pray? Yeah, I want policemen to pray, and I want them to pray to the God of the Bible. that's who I'd want them to pray to, but they have the free exercise to pray to whom they want to pray to. So, you got any more thoughts on that, Gary?
I was just thinking of not too long ago, and I don't remember the specific date, but in another city here in Idaho, there was a city council meeting where they opened the meeting with a prayer. And there was some, I don't think it wasn't the ACLU, but it was another group that brought a protest to this, that they were basically saying, hey, you shouldn't be praying. You shouldn't be opening a government meeting with a prayer. And anyway, and so the city council ended up, the mayor, I do remember, said, okay, we won't do that anymore. But yeah, so they caved into it. But my thought on the whole thing was, I was okay with it. But again,
and so
I'm okay. But
Congress still has a chaplain that's paid. It's a paid position, and their chaplain, they open up Congress for prayer, and they do that all the time. And what city management ought to do, they're going to do that. They'll say, okay, we're going to open up in prayer. And so we're going to invite different faiths from our community.
Right.
If we're in Idaho Falls, your church has to be within the city limits. And then, you can apply and come and pray at one of the meetings. So one week it might be Pastor Ty from Water Springs. The next week it might be somebody from one of the local LDS churches here. The next week it may be somebody from
Christ Community or whatever.
A Christian church, a Catholic church, whatever, and just allow them to do that, because they're representative of the community in which you live. And if you ask let's say you ask the Catholic church, they said, no, we'll pass. Okay. Don't complain.
Right.
Exactly. And then if you have an atheist, I want to pray. Okay, go up there and stand and don't say anything.
I know. Yeah. I was confused by the whole thing, because I thought that same thing, that it's like, no, that's okay.
And here's what I don't get is, especially somebody who claims to be atheist, and why are you so upset?
Yeah.
If there is no God, why are you so upset?
Exactly.
They don't get upset about putting Santa Claus out front, City Hall.
Right.
I don't believe in Santa Claus, but I don't get there all angry about, why are you putting up a Santa Claus?
Right.
It's a Santa Claus. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So why would you not put a nativity scene? It's a tradition, and even if you don't believe.
Right. That's exactly right.
Why worry about it?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Very interesting.
People getting all bent out of shape, Gary.
They do.
It is.
They do.
Look at that. Time is up.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Hey, it's great to be back, Gary.
Yeah, nice to have you back, Tim.
I enjoyed the time away.
I missed you.
I'm happy. I miss you too. Miss being here. All the people.
Yeah.
Anyways, hey, thanks for listening in. If you have a topic or question you want to address on Cop Talk, send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints to coptalk@therev.fm. That's coptalk@therev.fm. Thought from the good book today: do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of evil. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it and pass on. Thank you for joining us, and help us to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.